From ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 in Southern California. This is BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgenson.
All right, welcome out to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio. I am your host, Tyler Jorgenson, and today I have the pleasure of having John Crestani on the call, a gentleman that got to start an online career back in 2012. Which isn't that long ago for some of us. It's every once in a while I have a guest like this that makes me feel super old. But thanks for coming out, John.
Hey, thank you so much. Super excited to be on the show. I'm excited to share some value here. I love what you're doing.
So I find there's a couple different paths for entrepreneurs to get started, and some of them they knew from day one that for me, 5 years old, I was an entrepreneur. And for others, it's not until after they dive into the corporate world and realize I do not fit here. I think that was more of your path. What was your big impetus for deciding you wanted to run your own business?
Yeah, so I didn't even know it was an option, to tell you the truth. You know, for me growing up, the only option was actually just, you go to high school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get a job. And if you do well enough in your job, if you build up enough of a client base, maybe your clients or the business you're in, you'll end up starting your own after you make enough. But it wasn't be an entrepreneur or get a job. It was always the path was very clear. So what gave me so there was no option for me until I was really dissatisfied in college 2 years in, and I started reading a lot. I started trying to get, self-educate myself outside of college. And I read this book called The 4-Hour Workweek. And it was by this guy, Tim Ferriss. And I saw what this guy was doing. And this guy, he opens it up and he's making millions of dollars a year. He's traveling the world in his 20s and he has a lot of free time. And I was like, that's ridiculous. This you can't do that. That's not possible. But he goes on to list out about 100 different stories of people who also broke the mold and chose by intention what they did with their life and their business. And that just rocked my world. I'd say that was that was the epiphany. At that point, I had an epiphany where this is real and I have options. And from that point forward, I said, this is what I want to do.
So 2011, 2012 tells me that you read the second version of the book, the orange colored cover. And many of us.
No, this is 2000.
You read the green? This is was your first edition green cover?
Yep.
That's cool. So yeah, Tim has been a guest on this radio show. And is absolutely one of my digital mentors as well. That book has been huge for me and for many of the people that have come on this show, simply for the same reason that you just said, which is that a lot of us didn't even know that the style of entrepreneurship that he taught us was possible. And so, you can do it and go after kind of the muse, or even just applying those principles into your business. What was the first business that you decided, man, I'm going to go build this?
Sure. So the first business that I started doing, I remember I Googled all this stuff beforehand, but the first business, which I really started doing, was I started tutoring people. Actually, it was really basic. I took really good notes in college of these classes. So I had all of these notes and I had a lot of the homeworks, I had all my old homeworks and they had a lot of the answers for the future tests and quizzes on them. So people, and the classes were the same every single year. So I said, I'm going to tutor people. I'm going to sell my course notes and my old homeworks. And I just said, this is valuable. Okay. Because I remember thinking, oh, what is something valuable people would pay money for? And I said, I knew in my heart and soul that this was valuable. People would pay money for this. Absolutely. And it was unique, but I didn't know how to get out there. So what I actually started doing was I went to the library and I started printing out these little, they're called tear tab sheets. I don't know if you've seen it's just a little piece of paper, but they have little tabs sticking out
absolutely.
at the bottom. And a lot of personal trainers put them up here in LA. It's like, hey, get a personal training session, call my cell here. And so I put those up, and I started, at first I didn't even have the tear tabs, but every day I went back and tested them. Every day I'd put up new flyers and see if people, tore the tabs or contacted the email address I had set up. And every day I got, I was figuring out ways to get more responses from the posters I put up, and I started getting clients. I started meeting with students on campus at the library, and I started a business selling my notes.
There you go.
Yeah.
It worked out. So a lot of, Tim talked about was starting information businesses. So you kind of started in that direction. And what I have found fascinating about the people that have applied the principles of the 4-hour work week is it's 1,000 different directions they go with it, right? Like I started a supplement company and ran that for almost over a decade. Yeah. And other people do information products. Other people become affiliate marketers. What was the first big obstacle that you faced as you started to grow and have some success, and how did you overcome that?
Sure. So I'd say the first big obstacle I faced, there's so many in the beginning when you're really finding your groove. I'd say the first one that was, there are a few that were devastating for me. I'd say I graduated college, and, I wasn't able to sell the notes anymore. And, at campus, they didn't allow me, as a non-student to go on campus and put up flyers. And frankly, the flyers, they only worked for so long. They started, saying that, that's illegal. You can't put up flyers. And now I figured that I needed to build a software online business. I got this idea in my head. I was directionless, I'd say. I wasted all of the money that I had made and then some building, hiring developers and, software developers and website designers to build something that I could profitably advertise. And I lost my butt doing that, and it really was a big setback. And I lost a lot of money because I had zero direction. We got a bunch of refunds because people would refund if they didn't get an A+ on whatever, course, information they were buying. And they didn't care. So there was all this stuff that was going on that was just losing money left and right. I got a PayPal account shut down, and which had a lot of money in it at the time. And it was really, all of those failures were really disheartening because it kept feeling like I could never get ahead. And it kept feeling like, and even stuff like, so my businesses were failing. And on top of that, I was feeling stupid because I was trying to learn this like programming stuff. I really held programmers in kind of a high regard mentally. I said, they're the ones that make the money, the internet businesses. But I got this, I don't know if you've ever had this like brain fog where you're trying to juggle all these different concepts in your head, but it just doesn't, it seems like it should be clicking, but it wasn't. And I didn't know if I was stupid or unlucky or what was going on, or if it just wasn't meant for me. But that was a really hard period of my career as an entrepreneur.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's I think it's so remarkable to me how similar a lot of the parallels are for people that started this way, because they, you learned a batch of principles that were able to carry you to a starting part, right? You were able to get the business. Yeah. But then you had to go through the learning phase of the business of operations and scale and delegation and how to handle, employees and things like that. So as you continue to evolve, right, you found greater success. I think you overcame that and we were able to apply those principles, right? So what was your next big shift? What was the next thing that you leaned into?
Well, what I did was I'd reached rock bottom, and I was definitely, I was sort of a black sheep amongst, in my social circles, because I had chosen this alternative route to taking a job, and it wasn't working out either. I was broke. I was, living in horrible circumstances. I had, I seemed crazy by all means. It's
Right.
like, what are you doing? Just so. And what was the work? So I got a job. That's what I did. I got a job, but this is where I was smart, is because I'd been attending all of these events like T. Harv Ekers, Millionaire Mind events, and
Right.
different meetups and different like all these pitch fests. I went to all of these events trying to glean a piece of information from these people selling these business opportunities, and through that I created a social circle of actually a couple people who ran internet businesses. So when I was looking for a job, I reached out to these few friends I had that I'd met through these events. And I got a job at an internet company, which was the best case scenario in hindsight. And I sort of unconsciously created it. But by getting a job at an internet marketing company,
Right.
I ended up learning so much over the next 2 years. I ended up managing. I became the director of pay-per-click advertising, managing over 100 clients. This was for a fairly large company. I was managing 100 different small clients in different niches. The actual marketing of. I learned marketing so fast, and I got so good at advertising.
So that
and
goes
I
back to
became
that.
so versatile.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off, but that goes back to that principle of work to learn, as and work to earn, right? You want to make some money while you're doing it, but with the intent of having a job that you can actually learn resources or learn skills that you can deploy back into your businesses. You crushed that.
Yeah.
So, and then it sounds like, so you've built, johncrestani.com, but you also have imjetset.com, and you started to build courses and a revenue stream and a business around these things that you've learned. How did you kind of make that shift?
Sure. So I made a lot of money marketing. I made a lot of, I'd made millions of dollars just marketing other people's products. Now what kind of happened was, it was really happenstance actually, is I'd been growing an affiliate net. One of my businesses was an affiliate network, which is, sort of marketing company. And I kind of became the figurehead of my company, on one hand, because we were working with a lot of affiliate marketers. And on the other hand, I had traveled to Morocco. I love kite surfing. I'm a big athlete, if you get it. Where, we were talking about, my soccer injury earlier, right, because I went too hard and all that jazz. So I was kite surfing in Morocco. And whenever I'm traveling around, I travel around the world. I travel really low budget. You would never think that my net worth was what it is, because when I'm traveling, I'm dirty. I look very poor. I look like some bum, traveling bum. But that's just because I don't like to dress up. I'm not big on that stuff. So my wife hates it. But so I was talking to this guy on this bus to Marrakesh, which is in the south of Morocco, and he was actually a Forbes editor. He was an editor for Forbes, and he was surfing. And he was we were talking, and he asked me where I was staying, and I was staying at I was staying at basically the Prince's Palace in Marrakesh, right, and he didn't believe it. And he asked me what I did, and I said, "Oh, I run a business. I have, I told him a little bit, and he didn't believe. He was like, "No way." And then I showed him my stats, my affiliate. I was like, "Here's what money I earned today." I pulled out my phone, and he was flabbergasted. And he said, "How many people work for you, John?" And I said, "0. This is all myself. I don't have any payroll." And he was just like, "I've got to do an article on you." I blew him he didn't it didn't make sense to him. I was just like blowing his mind one after the other. And that article went viral. That article went super viral. It got seen by millions of people, translated into multiple different languages. And, you know, the rest is kind of history. You know, people wanted to learn how to do marketing from me, so I started teaching it. And that's kind of where my business has evolved to mostly today. I'm mainly, I still do a lot of marketing. I'm, you know, a ClickFunnels dream car winner and all that jazz. But I do a lot of teaching now because that's kind of been my calling.
Very cool. So, and man, I love that you've done that. You've created that pathway, right? We're now almost like full circle. You've come back around to sharing what you've learned and helping other people on that path. What would you say is the number one thing that people need to overcome, you know, mentally or whatever it is, to be able to be successful? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs are stuck in that wantrepreneur phase.
Yeah. So what do people need to overcome mentally? So, okay. So here's the chicken and egg scenario. The chicken and egg scenario is there's self-confidence and there's lack of focus. And the biggest reason why I've seen people, and I won't call it fail, but I'll say not live up to their potential, is because they don't allow themselves long enough on a single path. And that lack, basically, anybody who you know, I'm not intelligent by any means. I'm just stubborn. I've stuck with it longer than most people. And I figured out, you know, instead of seeing an obstacle and turning away, I see obstacles and I say, I'm just going to go at the obstacle until I figure it out, because it's not rocket science here. You know, this is business. So I'd say the lack of focus, and the reason why people have lack of focus is lack of self-confidence, lack of full belief. You've got to believe in your business as much as you believe in your kids. Even if your kids are having a hard time, you've got to believe in them. You've got to stick with them. You're not going to turn your back on them. If you believe in your business as much as you believe in your kids, you will overcome any obstacle and you will be successful.
That's rad. I think, you know, I'm a father of 4, so I understand that. And I understand like how much I believe in my children. But just like my kids, I tend to have a lot of businesses, right? I tend to come up with a lot of ideas. And so that your point of really maintaining focus, right? And at least getting a project to a point, the term I often use is to its logical conclusion, right? Test an idea all the way and test it to make sure, hey, the market doesn't agree. This isn't a good product, or you need to completely stop it. But so many people that I talk to are stuck in the in-between, where they've had an idea for a decade, but they've never done any testing. They've never started it. And so they're in this perpetual, like, patting on the back loop of, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I have an idea, or I'm working on something, or I have this thing that's in progress, but there's never any like gates or steps or progress. And so I really like that lack of, or having to have focus and then believing in it and staying and being stubborn.
And I'd say if you don't start on something, you are if you allow it to be an idea, you also have lack of self-confidence, because if you really believe that what you have is going to help people, that is going to help save or change lives, then you're going to get it out there. You're not going to let it just be like, oh, this is a cool idea, and let it kind of stroke your ego. Oh, I thought of the internet back in 1960. That if you really believe in it, you're going to go out there and do it. If you're listening to this and you have a idea that you can help people, you are going to act on it. You are going to do whatever it can to get it, turn that idea into a product or a content or a website or whatever. You just have to start. You have to do it. You have to go through the steps, because going from that phase, that's an obstacle too.
Absolutely. And, I think for a lot of us that are entrepreneurs, we have a hard time understanding that people can't start, because that's not my weakness. Right. But everyone's weaknesses are different and everyone's strengths are different. And so, but some people are really good about being stubborn, and some people are really good about just coming up with tons of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's a good point.
As you've grown and as your course has done better and better, and as you started teaching more, you know, what are some of the things that you're finding as the internet changes, as the digital era continues to evolve? What are some of the trends that are happening now that you're seeing in the industry?
Sure. So, I mean, one of the trends is that, you know, these social, I'd say these social platforms are becoming, you know, more. They're limiting your reach, you know, more and more. They'll limit, you know, the amount of direct messages you can send, or that, you know, everything's going to get harder. Everything's going to get harder moving forward. You know, Facebook's limiting your reach. YouTube's limiting you. If you want to start, the time to start and go crazy is right now. Because the easiest time was yesterday, but the second easiest time to start is right now. And if you're not getting started, if you're not trying to, if you want to be a YouTuber, or if you want to be popular on Instagram, or if you want to sell a product, you need to start right now, because there's never going to be a time like today to get your business started, to get your message out there on social media. Because you're going to look back. You're going to look back 5 years from now. You're going to look back 10 years from now and say, "Oh, I should have got started in 2019." You could still make it back then. You could still go from nothing and zoom up back then, and you will live a life of regrets if you are sitting on your butt and not getting your message or your product or your idea out to people.
I love that. I absolutely go crazy right now. It's never going to get any easier. I love that. I mean,
yeah, I'm going crazy on all the social, you know, I just decided this year, I'm going to go crazy on social media. We're growing on Twitter. We're growing on Instagram like crazy. We're growing on YouTube like crazy. We're growing on Facebook. Well, Facebook's a little different a situation. I won't talk about that right now. But you know, everything is, you know, the goal is all of these things, and it's really great. You know, that it's really easy to grow on a lot of social media. But again, I see the writing on the wall. It will get harder. So, yeah, go at it.
I'm with you. Very good points, man. Is it required to be successful as an internet marketer to have a beard?
Yeah, well, I would say, you know what? I'd say when you don't have to clock into work and you don't have any investors or employees breathing down your neck that you're accountable for, I just think the beard comes naturally, man. You know, this is our natural state. So why do we have to put a knife to our face for you know, we don't have to put a knife to our face for some corporate PowerPoint presentation. So
that's it.
Grow it out. Let it grow.
I was just laughing because, you know, like most of the pictures and things I see, you know, it's like the closer people get to you, the longer their beard gets and the more successful they get. Like along with your balance sheet, your beard will grow, you know? And so it's like, it's great. I love it, man. So you're here in Southern California, like myself. And I think it's a really interesting atmosphere for entrepreneurs, because I think there's a belief that things are possible, but there's also a little bit of a false belief that you've got to go seek venture capital. You've got to go seek investors and raise seed capital. You know, I'm a firm believer in the, you know, test and then reinvest into your own business. How do you help people kind of do it that way, or do you agree?
That's a great question. You know what? This has been part of my personal, I talked about lack of self-confidence and lack of, you know, focus, and going after capital has actually been, it's something that almost destroyed my business, because I spent, you know, I'd gotten my business to a point where I was making over $1 million a year. And I thought to myself, hey, I want to be a billionaire. So you know, all the billionaires I see raise money. So I'm gonna, you know, try to crowdfund and start an ICO and do all of this, you know, go to pitch angel investors and all this sort of stuff. And it destroyed me, bro. It destroyed me, dude. It's stupid. If you have a business that's making $1 million, make $2 million. Focus. Yeah. Serve more of your people. It's such a pie in the sky thing. I don't think it's for everybody. I've started it's not necessary. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about startup capital, it's not necessary. If your daddy is a lawyer and you can get introductions to rich old people and you're in your 20s, go for venture capital. Go for some startup capital. That's a great situation. Your daddy's. I had a friend whose dad was a lawyer, and he went to Stanford. He had a good technology idea. His dad made him a couple introductions, and now he's a billionaire. Okay, so that works great if you're in like some of these specific situations, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah, that's one example, right? You've probably got dozens of examples of people who did it the other way, as opposed to the.
I'm a mentor. You know what's funny is I'm still a mentor at a startup accelerator, and it's just it's so stupid. These people are making no money. Okay, even after they raised $3 million, the $3 million. They have a $20 million valuation, right? And they raised $3 million. The founders are still making nothing. They have their balls tied. They can't do anything fun. They're working a job for investors. It's just another way of saying you work a job. You're CEO, but your bosses are the investors. It's no 100%. Different than working a job.
Yep. Yeah, you move to a CEO position, but you position yourself with a board now that you're really reporting to.
But your stock option, but your stock is worth a lot of money. The stock isn't worth anything because if you own the company, you cannot sell a share of your stock until you IPO. So it's fake money. It's right. You're a paper tiger, as it's called. It's fake money unless you IPO, and the chances of it's all a bunch of it's fake.
I'm with you.
It's fake.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Fake. Now, you and I are both of the ilk of coming from the 4-hour work week, school of thought. We graduated Tim Ferriss University, and that life is about building the lifestyle you want and not just, punching the clock. So and you've done some amazing things. I know you've been to Thailand. You mentioned Marrakesh. You travel and you do things. What's one major item that's on your dream line this year?
Actually, learning to fly helicopters.
Nice.
So, yeah, by goal, I'll be a pilot by the year's end.
Very cool.
I'll have my license. Not like I'm going to be flying people around, but have my helicopter license by the year's end.
All right. Well, if you come out near Chino Airport, let me know, and I'll buy you breakfast or lunch or whatever. But
okay, okay, yeah, that's actually a good day trip.
There's a great little cafe here. That's it's pretty cool. So
I may take you up on that, Tyler. Actually,
it's no joke. I meant it. Yeah. And then next time I'm out your way, we're gonna connect for sure. But dude, really, really appreciate it. If people want to learn more about you, where do they go?
Just search my name in YouTube. John, spelled the right way, John, Crestani, at Cresta, like the toothpaste, and then Ani, like the bird in the cuckoo family, the Ani bird. So search that in YouTube and, just subscribe. I try to put out a lot of free content out there because, about what I teach, because, I really believe in, I'm a big futurist, and I have all these crazy rants. I won't go on, but I have a lot of crazy beliefs. But I try to get it out there, and I believe everybody has something to share with the world, and get it out there. Whatever that idea or product or information message you have, just start and get it out there.
I love it. Go check out John Crestani, and now it's your turn to go out and do something.
Thank you for listening to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with Tyler Jorgenson. Please make sure to subscribe so you're first to hear new interviews and episodes. If you found this podcast to be valuable, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to visit our online dojo at BizNinja.com to claim your reward for listening to the show.